Haley wrote a letter for me for Mother's Day to open up. She wanted to make sure I had some kind of comforting message to read on a day that she knew that I was going to be struggling. She wrote, "Don't ever forget how strong you are. Watch a video of me and hug our baby boy tonight. I hope you can feel our love and feel me. I love you endlessly."
Taylor and Haley's story garnered hundreds of millions of views online. And Taylor says it's their son, Weston, and wanting to be the best father possible that makes every day worth living.
Since Haley passed away, I miss her terribly. But I would say Weston being in my life has been a saving grace for me. Weston has become my best friend. We love to go hunting and fishing. He's a great little baseball player, and that's what I grew up playing, and I love working with him with that. And occasionally he'll come up to me and he'll be really sad. He misses his mother, and we pray every day. We pray before we eat our meals. I'll just tell him that Jesus came to take Mom home. I'm so blessed to have him and that he's so much like Haley because I feel like she's still here. Obviously, when you lose a loved one and you're going through grief, it's extremely easy to get stuck in those negative thoughts. I've been blessed to have health to continue to live, to be able to get up every day. I've got to take advantage of those blessings. I'm not doing Haley justice if I don't go out there and live.
Taylor, what were the final words that Haley told your son Weston before she passed?
You know, I'd been telling Weston for all he's ever known since birth is that Mommy was sick and was a little different than most mommies and couldn't do everything. And so, you know, I never sugarcoated anything with that boy, and I still don't. So when that day came where she was really starting to slip into that coma state, that sleep state, and I wanted her to at least be able to talk to Weston. And he was at summer camp and at the church. And so we went and got him, brought him in, and I sat him down, and it was just me, Haley, and Weston. And I said, "You're an amazing son. You're the best little boy. The reason Mom is still here is because of you. And you are the saving grace for both of us. And there's nothing you did wrong." You know, because sometimes kids will think it's their fault. And he grabbed her hand, and that caused her to kind of wake up a little bit. And she said, "I love you, Weston." And she laid her head back down, and that was the last thing she ever said. And she passed away 2 days later.
What do you do to keep her memory alive with him?
I talk about her every day. There's not one thing in my house that's changed. Every night before bed, we say our prayers, and I always open the floor to him if he wants to talk to Mommy. Some nights he does, some nights he doesn't want to. And there's nothing quite as heartbreaking than listening to your son talk to his deceased mother at night. I mean, it is heartbreaking to listen to because his mind doesn't fully understand. And he's asking, "Can you come back? You know, I want to see you again." And it's just, but he's so mature and loving, and I just am so blessed that I get to call him my son.
You know, he's at an age where those memories are fragile.
Yeah.
And you've got to keep that alive for him.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes it's so painful that people say, I don't want to talk about that. And that's very selfish because he needs that to bridge across that decay so he doesn't feel so guilty.
Mm-hmm.
And that'll help him tremendously if you'll give him that gift.
Oh, I don't waste an opportunity to talk about it, that's for sure.
What have you done with the anger at this being taken away from you and from him?
A healthy life starts with a healthy night's sleep, and Z-Kleiner was designed specifically to promote restful sleep. Studies show 7% of U.S. adults either choose not to or are unable to sleep in a traditional bed. Zecliner offers a superior alternative. The Zecliner is a revolutionary recliner designed by FlexSteel to be both your ultimate relaxation station and making it an ideal bed alternative. The Zecliner is the perfect sleep solution, meticulously engineered with 4 distinct models. Model 1, Model 2, Petite, Model 2, and Model 2 Plus. No matter your size or specific need, there is a Zecliner that's right for you. Zecliner is more than a chair. It's a complete sleep solution. Whether for daily relaxation or as an alternative to a bed, it delivers unmatched comfort, technology, and support. Visit Zecliner.com today to find the perfect model for you. You deserve the Zecliner.
What have you done with the anger at this being taken away from you and from him?
I used to be very angry. I was angry at God. I was angry at my situation. I had a victim mentality, a poor me attitude. This was in the middle of the caregiving where I didn't see a light at the end of the tunnel. Not that I was honored to take care of her, but there's probably multiple caregivers in here, but it can wear on you. It's hard. Dealing with that day in and day out, I was very angry. But I honestly can sit here and tell you today, I have zero anger. I'm sitting here with nothing but gratitude in my heart for what the time I did get and for what she did teach me. And I know because of my faith that I'll see her again. And I hold on to that. And I believe very strongly that the Lord doesn't do things to people. He allows things to happen. And I look at what has come from this story, what he's used her to do. And I'm just, like I said, sitting here with nothing but a heart full of gratitude, grateful and thankful for what she has taught me in my young life. And just so, I said it earlier, I was 23 years old, sitting in my truck. She just told me that I could leave. I'm crying. I think my life is over. I don't see a future for me, but I know what I need to do. And I thought it was over. And now I'm sitting here talking to you, telling her story. How can you not believe that there's a God, that there's a greater plan for all of us? And I'm so grateful for the time that we had in hospice, because I learned a lot about the hospice journey that I didn't quite understand till I went through it.
Well, hospice is a true gift, and skilled hospice nurses and all are truly angels on earth. My next guest, Julie, better known on social media as Hospice Nurse Julie, is the author of Nothing to Fear, Demystifying Death to Live More Fully. Now, she says talking about the details and the dying process is exactly what we need to do.
As a hospice nurse, I'm trying to help people die in peace. Everyone that comes on hospice has either declined further treatment or they've exhausted all treatment. There's a doctor, there's a nurse, a social worker, a chaplain. It's spiritual, emotional, physical, mental, all the things. Try to treat the whole person to help make this as easy and as peaceful as possible. The gift of hospice is time. This is the person's end of life journey. That's why hospice is so beautiful. We have to bring people together to have those moments before that person dies. Because so many times people die in an instant and they're not given that luxury. So people always think hospice nursing is depressing. Watching someone take their last breath on hospice with friends and family around, it's like witnessing a birth. All I see is love.
Well, Julie, thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
You were an ICU nurse.
Yes.
Why did you choose to switch over to hospice? Because that's a big switch.
Big switch. I was an ICU nurse for 8 years. And during that time, slowly but surely, as I gained confidence in what I was doing as a nurse, I started getting a voice and becoming an advocate for people that I felt like we were doing a disservice to. by keeping them alive in the ICU. Now, not everyone, of course, ICU is amazing, but certain circumstances, it's like prolonging life at all cost was doing a disservice, which eventually led me to hospice.
Yeah, and your book is amazing, by the way.
you.
And you talk about having a good death. What do you mean by that?
So a good death, peaceful death, however you want to talk about it, I think is one where the family understands what death and dying looks like. People will linger usually for a few days, unconscious, not eating and drinking. They might breathe a little different. And families look at that and they think, emergency, something's wrong. We need to do something, fix this. And in reality, it's normal. It's how someone dies, right? So preparing yourself in that way, knowing what death really looks like, can help you have a peaceful environment, at least, around that death.
How does hospice help people have a good death?
Oh man, yeah, I could talk about this forever. So we have a full team of people that helps you with all areas. So the symptom management of the person who's dying. We have a social worker to help with family dynamics and just talk about the situation at hand. Chaplain, doctor, a CNA to help with hygiene and support the family. 24-hour number, so a nurse can come to your house anytime, day or night, no matter what's going on. It's bringing healthcare to your home so you can live out the rest of your life. That's my main thing. People think hospice is about dying. You know, people are dying on hospice, but the whole point is so they can live out the rest of their life.
More.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
I love you
Seriously.
and Haley. That video makes me cry again. It's just so beautiful, that video.
That was well said, Nurse Julie. Still to come, Haley and Taylor's son, Weston, will come out to say hi. But first, I want you to meet someone I encountered several years ago when we were searching for her missing daughter. The grief this mother has experienced really packed a 1-2 punch. You'll understand what I mean when we come back.
$36 trillion. That is the U.S. debt, and it gets deeper and deeper by the day. Our debt has never been higher, nor have the stakes. The government is looking to slash the federal budget by $2 trillion, and no one knows what that will mean for your job, savings, and future. I've seen a lot in my time, and there's one thing I know for sure. You need to prepare before it's too late. I trust Preserve Gold to help protect my wealth, and I strongly urge you to do the same. They are the only precious metals firm I trust and recommend to my family, friends, and audience, and they have a special offer just for you. Text Dr. Phil to 50505 to get your free precious metals guide from Preserve Gold. With gold prices recently breaking records and analysts predicting this trend to continue throughout 2025, you cannot afford to wait. As a bonus, you can get up to $15,000 with a qualified purchase from Preserve Gold. So don't wait. Text Dr. Phil to 50505 today.
We first met Lori when she shared her story about her daughter Ebby's disappearance and murder. Now, Lori experienced every parent's worst nightmare, but it didn't end there. She also lost her son suddenly. Despite her profound loss, she says it is possible to find happiness, and in fact, it's okay. Take a look.
From my first appearance on the Dr. Phil show, I've lost my 18-year-old daughter, Abby, to murder. I lost my 35-year-old son, my father, my mom, and my best friend. It's a lot. It is a lot of death. All those have left a mark on me. With all these different deaths, I dealt with them differently. With Abby's death, I had to find her, so I had to keep moving. Trevor's death, I did go to bed. He was 35. He died of a massive heart attack. But those sad days still come. The birthdays, the death anniversaries, it's like my body holds on to that stress some. With my faith, I have always been able to find something good out of bad. There's no time limit for joy or sadness, but you have to keep going forward.
Lori, I'm so happy to see you again.
I'm glad to see you too.
And I'm glad to see you're doing so well, despite the fact that you've had another terrible loss with your son.
He was 35 from massive heart attack.
I'm sorry to hear that. Yeah, we talk about this, and you know, you've been on 3 times before because we were working on all of this,
Finding Abby.
and you had some really rough times with this. And talk about that a little bit.
You know, I had different deaths. With Abby's, it was trauma, looking for her for 2 years. Then they found her dead in a drain. And then, so I had death with her. And then a year later, my son died of a massive heart attack. That was a shocking death. With Trevor, after his death, God granted me peace with that. I got to hear Trevor's voice, voice. That's just something that I believe as your hospice nurse said, you know, God does for you what you can't do for yourself. And he did that for me after Trevor's death because I didn't get to say goodbye.
Right.
So I had an experience with that. And I went to bed, just went to bed. And I watched Frasier. I watched every season, every episode. And then I got up and it made me laugh. My family, we laugh. My son was one of the funniest human beings you would ever know. And now when I get sad with Trevor, I can look through his Instagram or his Facebook and see the dumbest things, but they're so funny. And so he left me with laughter.
Yeah. I've talked to so many people who will lose a loved one and they'll catch themselves laughing or something, and they'll just feel a dagger of guilt in their heart and say,
Yes.
oh my God, I have a dead child and I'm standing here laughing. What kind of mother am I? And there is an answer to that question. You're a human mother. And this is a distraction that it's like releasing a pressure valve.
Yes.
Letting some pressure off. It's not a betrayal.
And men process things differently.
Oh, totally.
My husband, you know, totally different with his grief.
How do people respond to you if they haven't seen you since a loss and then they see you? What do they bring it up? Do they not bring it up?
Since my losses, I hope they bring it up. I want to talk about my losses. I want you to ask me about my kids. Tell me a story about Trevor, Laurie. Tell me a story about Abby. I think that's the greatest gift you can do for someone that's lost a loved one.
Well, that is so important for people to hear you say, because oftentimes people say, well, you know, I see somebody at the mall or the grocery store or at church or the sidewalk, and they seem to be doing really well. I don't want to bring them down.
Right.
I don't want to take them back to that moment. Yes, you do.
Yes.
Yes, you do. It's okay to say, hey, I haven't seen you since your loss. I just need to tell you how sorry I am that you had that loss. And,
Right.
and I remember the last time I saw your son or your daughter, and we had a wonderful conversation, and they
Even
were
if you
so
don't
great.
know them.
Yeah, say something about them.
I've had Trevor's coworkers, I never met them, come up to me and say, your son made me laugh every day.
Yeah. And it's great to know what your children are like when you're not around. you know,
Right.
and so you love to hear it. And you're right, men do grieve differently.